Today I'm covering 15 films with sapphic ladies in them that, because they have a happy ending, won't break your heart, because even today it still feels like so many still choose to opt for the sad, bittersweet, or downright tragic ending. I made a series for TV shows, which I've linked in the title cards, and I thought it was high time I did this for films too. Starting with a sapphic classic, we have Elena Undone, a long-time favourite of mine about Elena, the wife of a pastor who is feeling listless and unsatisfied with her role as a wife. When she meets Peyton, a magnetic attraction begins to brew, one that she doesn't understand but is compelled to explore. The film is by no means perfect. I talked about that in my full review of the film, link in the title cards, but it's still an immensely watchable film with some fantastic chemistry between two very capable leads that really elevate the movie through their performances. It's a great comfort movie for when you want something romantic and sexy to watch, and of course has a happy ending. Next we have Signature Move, a 2017 indie comedy about Zainab, a lawyer who is dealing with a mother who never leaves the house following the death of her husband, played by the wonderful Shabana Azim, who played gay in the classic lesbian film Fire, who doesn't know her daughter is queer and wants to get her married to a man. Zainab's quiet life is turned upside down when she meets Alma right around the time she starts wrestling, giving her the courage to step out of the closet that she's been living in to live her life authentically. The film, in my opinion, doesn't ever quite find its footing, with the themes not quite managing to go beyond the surface, nor the beats really giving the punch to make it satisfying, which is a shame because it had potential. Having said that, you may enjoy it, and it can be found on Tubi for free. If Tubi isn't available in your country, you'll need a VPN to get around geo restrictions, and for that I have a link in the description should you need it. Saving Face is another sapphic classic and among the best lesbian rom-coms out there, one I have covered a number of times on my channel. When Will falls for Vivian, she finds herself unable to fully commit because she is deep in the closet. When her widowed mother winds up pregnant and unmarried, her parents throw her out in shame, and she winds up on Will's doorstep, which forces them to work on their relationship and in the process for Will to deal with her sexuality. Interestingly, this film made by Alice Wu, who you might know from her other film, The Half of It, was not originally meant to have a happy ending. But aren't we glad it does, because otherwise it would most certainly have not made it onto this list. It also would have been a great shame, especially since Asian American films with lesbian leads are already pretty thin on the ground. It's a solid film, not without its flaws, but one that is a must-see in my opinion. Another film with a happy ending is Summerland, about a writer, Alice, who is living on the English coast during World War II when she is assigned an evacuee boy from London to billet against her will. At first, she is set on getting rid of him as she is grieving the end of a relationship and doesn't have the space nor the desire for a child in her life. But against her will, her closed-off heart is gently pried open through the emerging relationship with this boy. It's a period drama, which I know we sapphics tend to have a soft spot for, but unlike many period dramas, we don't have to worry about any sapphics dying. While the relationship between Alice and the boy Frank is the focus of the film, there are flashbacks to the love Alice lost and an unexpected happy sapphic ending. For a film that's more on the buddy comedy side, there is Booksmart, a delightful film that follows two friends, Amy and Molly, as they try to cram in all the high school shenanigans they failed to do because they were too busy being model students into the night before their graduation. This results in a wild night full of hilarious escapades, including Amy, who is out and sporting a crush, awkwardly trying to get the girl. It doesn't quite go to plan, although as you can very accurately guess, it ends well for her. This is a wonderful film that is, as the title suggests, smart with plenty of wit and moments of delight, so I fully recommend you watch this one if you haven't already. Now, we've been getting a slowly growing number of sapphic Christmas rom-coms. I have a link to my top picks in the title cards if you're in the mood for any of those. All of them, by the way, end well, as you can well imagine. But here I have for you a Thanksgiving-themed film. Lez Bomb is again a comedy, one that gets pretty farcical. Lauren brings her girlfriend, Haley, back for Thanksgiving. She was meant to come out to them in the lead up to the day, but she's been putting it off, and when her roommate turns up, a guy her parents love, they mistake who she is actually with. It leads to an eventful Thanksgiving, but thankfully, one that ends well. More beautiful for having been broken is the story of an FBI agent who has been put on a sabbatical by her job and winds up in a small country town. There she meets a boy with special needs, and in spite of herself, he takes a shine to her, and through him she is drawn into the local community. Through him she also meets his mother, a local dance teacher who is struggling to provide the care her son needs as a single mother. This movie has enemies to lovers flavouring, but they quickly find themselves drawing together and a romance blossoms. It's got that Hallmark kind of feel to it and comes from the same makers as Elena Undone. Some solid performances from the leads and the endearing young boy make it a lovely watch. By the way, I made this list using the Sapphic film and TV database that I offer over on my Patreon at my Sapphic Warrior tier and above, and allows me to filter based off various criteria, in this case the type of ending it has. If you want access to that and more, pop on over. Now, these next few are films that have a positive, hopeful ending, but don't necessarily end up with the protagonist in a sapphic relationship. The Indian coming-of-age film Margarita with a Straw follows Layla, a young woman with cerebral palsy who moves to New York for her studies. Keen to soak up as many experiences as she can, she throws herself into this new world. There she meets Kanam, a blind woman, and the two find themselves in a relationship, one that her parents don't know about. When Layla and Kanam announce that they are moving in together, her parents assume that they are just good friends, not knowing that their daughter is bi, and while this is a sweet romance, things don't go smoothly due to Layla's haste to explore the world. The ending, however, is one that feels empowered, with Layla emerging as a capable young woman with the world at her fingertips. Nyad is not a romance in any way, but rather a story of a deep friendship between two queer women that sees them attempting a superhuman feat, namely for Nyad to swim from Cuba to the Florida Keys. Having attempted and failed decades earlier, Nyad finds herself at 60 reignited with a passionate drive to give it another go. Driven by the need to push her limits, she sets about training with her best friend Bonnie as her coach. With the need to find funding, weather setbacks, and a channel with gnarly currents, her work is cut out, and through it she must face her inner demons in order to push through her own limits. A truly powerful and beautiful biopic that had me in tears, in the best way. Fully recommend. I also fully recommend Pariah, the story of Alike, a teen who is trying to find her way in a family that has placed rigid expectations around her, expectations that do not allow for her more masc appearance nor her sexuality. Through her poetry, she seeks to find an outlet for the desperation this environment creates, complicated by the fact that she is falling for a girl. This is a rich and beautiful film, allowing for nuance and depth, and though it might not have a fairy tale happy ending, it ends on a note of hope for Alike's future. The next few I'll mention briefly. We've got Crush, a teen rom-com that exists in a world where homophobia doesn't, which makes for a light and refreshing film. The script and performances are also delightful, and it's a cute film where the girl gets the girl. Desert Hearts is from 1985 and famously known for being the first lesbian film with a happy ending, as I have mentioned many times before. When a woman goes through a divorce, she finds herself at a homestay and she meets Kay, a vivacious young woman who will not allow society to dictate how she should live her life, and the two women find themselves falling in love. Fire, the movie I mentioned earlier in this video, where two sister-in-laws find themselves falling in love when bride Sita is brought to her new home, but finds that she can't be the quiet, retiring wife she's expected to be. The burst of fresh energy she brings into the household stirs Radha, wife to the other brother, waking her up to desires she hadn't had in years. Love this film. I couldn't but mention Imagine Me and You, probably the most polished and slick rom-com offering we have, with exactly the type of ending you'd expect from a film like this. On Rachel's wedding day to her best friend and longtime boyfriend, her eye is caught by Luce, the wedding florist. Intrigued, she initiates a friendship with Luce, one that quickly grows into some serious feelings that has Rachel very seriously questioning her sexuality. And the final suggestion for this list is another of my faves, Kyss Mig, or With Every Heartbeat in English, around Frida and Mia, who are brought together when their parents announce that they are getting married. Although Mia is also engaged, she is immediately drawn to Frida, stirring up feelings she had put away a long time ago and forcing her to face what she wouldn't when she was younger. Now, I know that there are many more films with happy endings, and I've omitted some very obvious and popular ones, so I'll be making a wee series so that you can have a more comprehensive list of options that won't break your heart. Be sure to nominate films that you know have a good ending in the comments, and until next time, lady lovers.